Welcome back to the Full Group Games League Finals for Gym Leader Challenge. We got Craig playing Metal up against Theia playing Colorless Birds. Yep, it is an all birds themed colorless deck. You can see Theia is starting with the Ducklet in the active, but Craig is going first, going for his second badge. Theia going for her first badge. And we started off with a Buddy Buddy Poffin to grab Beldum and the Jirachi. If you saw my last video, you saw Craig win against JD's Lost Zone deck. And Craig, unlike most metal decks, does not play the Bronzong. His only energy accelerator is the Metang. So that is a vital piece to get out first. And Jirachi also is a great engine to get this whole deck working. I see that Varoom is in the active, so once it evolves into Revaroom, it can draw up to 6 cards when you discard an energy from hand. And Craig has a fantastic first turn, setting up a lot of Pokemon, a lot of his main attackers, including Zamazenta and that Dialga, and even getting Jirachi into the active to use its Stellar Wish ability. It puts itself to sleep, but you can look at the top 5 cards and choose any trainer card you find there. And Craig grabs a Marnie. We'll have that supporter ready to go on his next turn. And you really can't ask for much better of a start on your first turn going first. If I was in Theia's position, I would not like the look of that. Usually you choose to go second because you want to guarantee a good setup. But when you get a good setup going first, yeah, that is just the best feeling in the world in GLC. Now Theia has the capture energy onto the Ducklet, and I think we're going to see the Fan Rotom. Technically a bird, it is flying type. It's got these little wings on the side of it, so don't argue there. And it's just too good not to include. That Fan Call ability is absolutely insane. If it is your first turn, you can search out 3 Pokemon that are under 100 HP. And we see Theia here grab Pidove, Fletchling, and Doduo. A Muscle Band coming down onto that Pidove. And we're going to see a Professor Juniper discard the hand and draw 7 new cards. No big turn 1 attack from the Birds deck. It's a lot of evolution Pokemon. And since that energy is on that Ducklet, it will be able to slap for 20. Too bad that Rotom could not get into the active to take that first KO on that Jirachi and maybe slow Craig down a bit. But still a good setup from Theia's board. Ultra Ball on Craig's side. We'll find that Metang, like I was saying, the backbone of energy acceleration in this deck. Want to be able to power up those guys as fast as possible. Its Metal Maker ability allows you to look at the top 4 cards of your deck and attach any basic metal energy you find there to your Pokemon in any way you like. And we'll see Craig decides to start with the Stellar Wish. It can thin out a trainer card from the deck before going for that Metal Maker. Cypher Maniac's Code Breaking is a strong supporter in this situation, especially any deck with Metang. You can stack 2 metal energy on top of your deck and guarantee them to be attached to your Pokemon. We'll see if he decides to go for the Cypher Maniac, or maybe he wants to see just a lot of more cards, maybe hoping to find a switch to get this Jirachi out of the active or in a skateboard. And we do see him go for the Marnie. He will draw 5 new cards, putting that Cypher Maniac onto the bottom. Since it is such a strong supporter, I wonder if it would have been better to not grab it and maybe see it on this next hand. We'll see if Metal Maker can find a couple more energies to get into play. See 1 hit there off of that Metal Maker. The rest of the cards will go to the bottom of the deck. So we're not going to see an attack from Craig just yet, but we do see the Parallel City come down. Theia will have to make a difficult choice to discard one of her benched Pokemon. And it looks like the Fletchling is going to be the one to go. and choosing to keep the Doduo, Pidove, and Rotom. And Craig passes over to Theia. We'll see if Theia can get the first knockout. Maybe with this Rotom, a single attachment will get there. And one of the downsides of playing a theme deck like the Birds is that you don't have access to a lot of the draw support Pokemon that Colorless loves to have, like Bibarel and Squovit and Oranguru. None of those are Birds. You do have the Dodrio, and in some cases, you can play the Pidgeotto with the Airmail ability, but Theia only has the Dodrio. And lots of other evolutions in the deck as well. So not a lot of extra room to fit a lot of other support Pokemon. But it's all for fun here. GLC, playing the decks you want to play. Love the Bird deck. I know it's a fan favorite. And Theia had the Guzman Hala to find the cards needed to attack with this Rotom. It can get in there for 70 damage when there's a Stadium in play. And also was able to bump the Parallel City with an Artisan and get Lugia down. Lugia is one of the stronger attackers in the Birds deck as a basic Pokemon. The rest pretty much all require evolutions. So finding those evolutions are key, and it looks like, unfortunately, not a lot of other evolutions were found this turn. That Dodrio, like I said, not only does it help you draw, but it starts building damage on itself to attack later in the game. So hopefully that can be found on Theia's next turn. Now on Craig's side, he does use the Artisan to find his Duraludon. Craig plays the new Archaludon, which gives all your metal Pokemon free retreat if they have any metal energy attached to them. Metal Maker is a complete whiff, unfortunately, but luckily Craig does have an attachment for turn onto that Dialga to complete the power-up process, and will go for a Metal Blast, doing 120 damage to the Fan Rotom. And they are tied at 5-5 prizes right now. Promoting the Ducklet, it does have the U-turn board on it right now. Unidentified Fossil comes down. Theia plays the Fossil Fangs. Aerodactyl can do 180 damage for 3 energy. There's a number of Pokemon in the Birds deck that can hit that 180 number. Most require 3 energy. Swanna is also a great card in the Birds deck. It allows you to attack for free if you play Bird Keeper that turn, and you can do up to 140 damage. So along with cards like Muscle Band and Powerful Colorless Energy, it can do big damage for free while you power up some other Pokemon. Theia plays Cynthia and Caitlin and gets back the Professor Juniper. Just wants to see more cards here and find those evolutions, still eluding her. And Ducklet just slaps for 20. Now, Craig draws here. He could Metal Maker. He just put a bunch of cards with Metal Maker on the bottom of his deck, but he decides to Artisan. And although it does thin a basic Pokemon out of the deck, you know that there's a bunch of cards on the bottom of your deck that are not Metal Energies. So you can basically count those as thinned out as well. So I wonder if Metal Maker might have been a better action there. But Craig is not punished. 2 energies found off of the Metal Maker. They're going to go right onto that Zamazenta, which is also now fully powered up with a Metal Frying Pan on it, or the Metal Goggles. Will be taking 60 less damage from attack, and a Hex Maniac from Craig as well. I'm going to go down to 4 prizes remaining. Can Theia respond? Needs lots of energy, needs some evolutions, has to take a knockout here to continue the prize trade and get back in this game. And the Aerodactyl is found off the top deck, I believe, or maybe it was in hand. I can't remember if Fossil came in last turn or not, but Fossil Fangs can do 180 damage, and that teammates will be able to fully power it up. And like I said, that Dodrio is very important. We'll be able to draw cards and begin damaging itself. And the Triple Acceleration Energy is a card that Theia plays, allows you to attach it to an evolution Pokemon for only 1 turn only. It will discard itself, but completely powers up a 3 energy attack like the Fossil Fangs. Allows you to respond quickly, and since the Aerodactyl is probably going to get knocked out anyways, that energy is fine to get discarded. I love, a utility card like that can get in and respond to big threats. But now this Zamazenta is going to be an even bigger threat. It's going to easily swing back for 220 onto that Aerodactyl, and then it will be taking 60 less damage from Theia's Pokemon. Artisan being used by Craig once again to find that Zacian, which did lots of work in the last match against JD. Metal Maker here. This time it is a whiff, but those times you hit feel really good and make up for those whiffs. Zamazenta will be swinging for 220 as a retaliate attack since Dialgo's knocked out on its last turn. And we can see Craig begin to power up that Q font with the metal frying pan and an energy on it. Craig plays the Sword and Shield Copperaja, which can attack for 220 for only 3 energy, as opposed to the new one that requires 4 energy. We see a double colorless energy come down onto that Lugia to begin powering that up. But since research is played here, I don't think there's any other energy acceleration options. So either Theia will have to pass and wait to power up that Lugia for another turn, or we'll go in for an Arrow Ball onto that Zamazenta. But since Zamazenta is not getting knocked out, it will only be able to do 100 damage back into Theia, which can't knock out that Lugia, so this might come into Theia's favor. We'll see. Arrow Ball is only going to do 40 damage, 100 total, minus 60. That is rough. Doing 40 damage does not feel good in Gym Leader Challenge when you're staring down a fully powered up Zamazenta. And we see Craig go for the Pokegear, finds that Cypher Maniac. We'll see if he decides to play it this turn to get even more energy into play. But that Zamazenta would not KO that Lugia. Escape Rope can get Craig there, though. Since both of Theia's Pokemon have less than 100 HP remaining, that Zamazenta will be able to knock out even without the additional damage. And we do see a Guzma targeting down that Tranquil, never having the chance to evolve into the Unpheasant, unfortunately for Theia. But the Lugia with the energy does get to stick around for another turn. But Theia is running out of Pokemon. A lot have been KO'd or discarded from the Parallel City early on. And that's why the Super Rod is being chosen off of this Arven to get back some of those Pokemon. Theia, if she wants any chance to get back in this game, will need more Pokemon to attack with. Just Dodrio and Lugia will not get there. Dodrio has not been doing nearly enough damage, or will not be doing nearly enough damage for a few more turns with damage counters added onto it. So we're relying on this Lugia as well as whatever other basic Pokemon Theia can find here. Here we go with the zooming draw on the Dodrio to draw a card. And it probably was not a Pokemon. Nothing was benched there, and we just see a Fire Energy attachment to the Lugia. It is not looking good for the birds here, although a very fun deck. And honestly, I have lost to it a couple times. It can pop off. Some of these birds are really strong. It does struggle with missing the draw that other colorless decks get to enjoy. So swinging again into the Zamazenta. It will be a 3-hit KO onto this Zamazenta, unfortunately. And Copperaja is entering play. It's the one with the Muscular Nose attack. Cypher Maniac will stack 2 Metal Energy on the top of the deck, I assume. Yep, there they are. Powering those up with Metal Maker. This Copperaja will be ready to go. Finding 3, an additional one off of that Cypher Maniac. So incredible draw off of that Metal Maker. You can see the strength of Cypher Maniac and the strength of Matang. It would be great if Theia was able to deal with that Matang early on, but the draws just have not been there. Muscular Nose getting in there, and now I don't think there's any way for Theia to respond to this big elephant in the active, and Craig only has 1 prize card remaining, and there we go. Craig takes the win, gets his second badge, of the season. And Theia was so close with the birds. Theia has stuck with the birds for a long time, and I just know that it has the potential to win. The deck list for both of these decks are in the description. Congrats to Craig on getting his second badge. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.